So, for the first few days, I didn't know what to think. After watching my favorites, Inherent Vice, The Master, There Will Be Blood, Punch Drunk Love, I immediately loved these movies. Wildly trippy, great cinema. But after Licorice Pizza, I was just sort of stumped. The pacing of this film is similar to the sensation of running, which this film has a lot of. It's totally different from his other films. It's a plotless, experiential 70s film that views coming of age, romance, and character hangout sessions through dreamy, haunting visuals. You are just a fly on the wall following the lives of Cooper Hoffman, who's portraying a 15-year-old, and Alana Haim, who is portraying a 25-year-old. The son, he's playing a 15-year-old, but the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, who is probably the best actor ever outside of Daniel Day-Lewis. Cooper's character, Gary, is in love with Alana. But in my personal opinion, Alana, she just sees Cooper as a cute puppy dog. She just sees him as just as a regular kid. Never does their friendship become something beyond that. There's a last moment between the two of them before the end credits, and this moment, this scene, this final action is going to divide audiences. Probably this entire movie is going to divide audiences. I'm sure many people will find Gary and Alana's friendship, their relationship, disturbing because it's not sugar-coated at all. But I really disagree. This movie takes place in 1973 in California. All right? Completely, totally different times and people then. There's men that are showing Me Too level behavior blatantly, or characters being racist. But Paul isn't saying that these characters or actions are right. He's just dramatizing and using dark humor as a way of looking back into the past. And man, some of these scenes were so funny, especially with Bradley Cooper. Watch out for him. He's a highlight. He's hysterical in this movie. And staying true to the time period's uncomfortable norms and showing Gary and Alana's friendship so honestly creates, for me, a darkly hilarious and eerie and bizarrely entertaining movie. Gary and Alana's friendship never becomes creepy, in my personal opinion. I thought they killed their performances, and the whole vibe and all of the scenes between Cooper and Alana I thought were just adorable. It's similar to a larger dog putting up with a hyper little kitten that's in love with the dog. It's just so preciously sweet. It kind of reminds me of My Girl, a movie which I love, where the main character, the little girl, she falls in love with her teacher. It's just so sweet. Also, the whole cast was memorable and believable. I love this film. It took a few days for it to like download and process in my mind because it was totally different from whatever I was expecting. But I loved this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. Hanging out with these characters created such a fun, breezy, hazy cinematic experience. The bathroom explosion at the beginning, I think it was from like a cherry bomb or something like that. The scene with Alana talking to someone and there's like a big yellow wall, I think it's like the side of like a building is in the background. It's like outlining her body while she's talking to someone. the way that looked. The scene where the car runs out of gas and what happened next was, it was just as thrilling as the truck flip sequence in The Dark Knight. I actually thought about the truck flipping sequence from Christopher Nolan's film during this sequence. This scene was just so breathtaking because it was just out of nowhere, and I was genuinely concerned for the characters. Anyways, the two of them on the waterbed, or the two of them just endlessly running with the 70s just beautifully, wonderfully recreated in the background. This is the most vivid and feel-good movie of the year for me. Sure, there are dark moments, like the moment where Alana gets spanked by some stranger as she's walking by and she sort of just has to take it. There's also another moment where Gary, he gets taken in by the cops and the treatment of the cops towards Gary. I love that Paul Thomas Anderson, he's completely hyper aware of the relationship between Gary and Alana, and I love that often he reminds you that their relationship it's just purely innocent. Yeah, Sean Penn and Tom Waits are hilarious in this film. I'm coming, Nancy! This film almost comes across as a 70s Garden State. It almost comes across as a more hilariously meandering film than, say, the awesome 2014 Inherent Vice. This film was comparable to a hot fudge sundae that is quickly melting in the afternoon summer sun. The 35mm film grainy imagery throughout this whole thing had moments that made me laugh from its absurdity, had two of the sweetest buddies that you'll see on screen all year, from seeing the early stages of a political campaign to seeing the gas crisis. This film seems empty at first, but that's deceiving. Gary is so overconfident and kind and silly. He genuinely has a great heart, and he's such a lovable character because of that. Alana Haim is so convincing as this woman from the 70s that it's unbelievable to think that what we're witnessing is acting. This is her first movie role. Alana's reaction to another woman talking about Gary sexually, that scene and many other scenes literally just sent the old goosebumps throughout my body. Alana is awesome, and her failed romances throughout the film are touching, relatable, and haunting, just like this movie. It's the most vivid film that I've seen this year because it's a near perfect snapshot of another time, of another place. It feels similar to a strange, sweet, sun-kissed tangerine dream. Currently, I'm giving this film a 9 out of 10, but there's just something about it that there's like this delay effect that I'm having with it. my love for it, that so much so that I could see this being a grower. I could see this one day being a film in which I give it a 10 out of 10. But at the current time, I'm feeling a 9 out of 10.